So, this is kind of exciting. In a move that caught me completely off guard, I am now grateful to say that this product was provided by Nintendo. Thank you so much. I couldn't have asked for a better gift and all of my decades of Kirby loyalty. Thank you so much. Guys, it fills me with great pleasure to say this, but Kirby has had a pretty damn good history since his jump to the Switch 2. Did you get it? It kind of like a throwback to my original Forgotten Land video. I mean, hell, if Nintendo's gonna be re-releasing things, so should I, you know? Wow, crazy. Nintendo's giving Kirby the best treatment out of all of their franchises in the first 6 months of their brand new console. No way. Obviously, there have been many ebbs and flows of the early period of the Switch 2, but I have generally had a very positive experience so far. I've been on my first replay of Breath of the Wild since that game first launched, and it's been a blast. I don't care what anyone says. Certain Switch 1 games running at their full potential now on the Switch 2 almost feels like playing these games for the first time all over again. Whether that boost happens inherently with the likes of Mario plus Rabbids Kingdom Battle or Bayonetta 3, or this whole Switch 2 edition thing, where we get proper retail re-releases or digital upgrade packs that feature base enhancements with new content like the neat smartphone usage in the Zelda games, or the stupid camera mode in Super Mario Party Jamboree. Welcome back, Xbox Connect. Oh god, there are so many Switch 1 games that just run better right out of the box. You would almost assume that some of the Kirby games would have some enhancements as well, but actually, that's not the case. Star Allies still runs at 30. Return of Dreamland Deluxe would look even better if it got a 4K rendering mode, but that's just wishful thinking. And no worries, the Fighters 2 and Dream Buffet lobbies are still dead as all hell, dude. Ah, man, nobody's playing these. And sadly, the base Forgotten Land still runs at 30 as well. And it is kind of annoying that a relatively simple frame rate boost that some games get naturally are locked behind a purchase here, but I mean, whatever. I was gonna get this game day one no matter what. Like, I gotta use my Switch 2 to the fullest of its capabilities whenever I can, you know? Important to note though, for those unfamiliar with how, quote, Switch 2 editions work, your options are as follows. You own the Switch 1 version of the game, well, physically or digitally, you can get all of the base enhancements and the brand new content with the $20 upgrade pack off of the eShop. It's the same thing they did for Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom. Otherwise, it is a full $80 for everything, either digitally or physically. And the neat thing about the physical Switch 2 version, if you get this cartridge and put it into a Switch 1, you get the base game like putting in the proper Switch 1 cartridge. That's just kinda cool. The percentage of purely Switch 1 owners getting Switch 2 editions and then playing them that way is probably incredibly minuscule, but hey, still cool, that's a thing. Welcome back, black Game Boy cartridges. Now, in years past, with the likes of the original Forgotten Land release and even Return of Dreamland Deluxe, I was able to make these pretty stretched out videos because they loaded those games with so many little details, and I wanted to mention as many as I possibly could. But in regards to, and I'm going to say the full title here, Kirby and the Forgotten Land Nintendo Switch 2 Edition plus Star-Crossed World, one of the fullest Nintendo titles of all time, there's actually not as much there as I kind of hoped in that regard. It's actually a bit underwhelming. It's still good. I mean, it's still a good game, but let's get to it. First and foremost, they added Return of Dreamland Deluxe and Dream Buffet to the Past Adventure section of Kirby's house. I just love that they keep doing this, and I hope they never stop. Find yourself somebody who loves you the way HAL Labs loves Kirby. Cause like, dude, okay, the overview trailer of this game is 4 minutes and 27 seconds long. Ignore the 10-second end slate in the YouTube upload. Why is the number significant? Well, it does show up in other places like this big clock tower in Forgotten Land, and why that's kinda cool is that is because the original game, Kirby's Dream Land, released on April 27th in Japan, 4/27. This company, man, I swear to God. Honestly, the base Forgotten Land experience, now on Switch 2, it's about as cut and dry as you can get. With the new console performance boost, you can get up to 4K resolution on TV and 1080p in handheld, so it looks a whole lot nicer and crisper, no matter in handheld or docked. Looks gorgeous, it already looked really good, looks even better, and now it's at 60 FPS as well, so it runs smoother too. I was fine with the original game running at 30 FPS, I didn't really feel like the game needed it all that much. The 30 FPS for a Kirby game only really upset me in Star Allies because the rest of the side-scrolling games ran at 60, but now that that Forgotten Land also runs at 60. It's a gorgeous experience all around, and it makes Star Allies, the current state of it, all the more offensive. Oh my god, just 60 FPS at least. You can keep the resolution the same, just please do something to that game, okay? There's no other real changes to the base experience though. Like, it's the same as close to 10 out of 10 experience a Kirby game could possibly be. Now it just looks sharper and it runs smoother. Great, the definitive way to play this game. There are a couple of minor changes though. There is now a spot on the world map for the point of arrival, the very first area in the game that before you could only access via a star in Waddle Dee Town. Now it has its own proper set piece on the map, so that's something. It's mostly because Star-Crossed World has something there, so you may as well, throw that in there. I've read that there's more voice samples for Kirby when you're going through certain mouthful modes and emotes. I don't really listen a whole lot to the specific noises that comes out of Kirby's mouth, but I mean, I read it on a Wikipedia, so that's probably true. And when you go to the Waddle Dee Cafe and order some food, you can get a crystal Carmouth cake or a sparkly-eyed Kirby burger. It does nothing different, it just looks a little bit shinier. It's like you're hunting for shinies in a Pokemon game, I guess. And of course, while many of you are looking towards this Switch 2 release with the brand new DLC, you want to learn all about the new stuff, I gotta be honest with you, just kind of playing through the base game again, I almost forgot how damn good Forgotten Land is. I'm joking about all the minor changes they made to the base game, but honestly, they didn't really need to make any changes whatsoever. It's already a fantastic experience. They managed to nail the look and the feel of Kirby in the three-dimensional space with no issues whatsoever. Like, of course I want some more creativity, something along the lines of Planet Robot completely changing the thematic formula. Instead, in Forgotten Land, it's a pretty bare bones grassland, desert land, etc. But even still, man, like, it's just such a damn good game. And honestly, something I noticed more than the general frame rate improvement, the enemies in the distance now no longer run at like a quarter of the frame rate. You look back at the OG footage, you look at Bronto Burt back there, he's chugging along because he's so far away, and maybe he's chugging along here too. I honestly can't even tell. It looks so much better and smoother for them as well. Praise be to 60 FPS Bronto Burt. The movement rate for some of the characters in like Waddle Dee Town are still a little bit stuttery, but I mean, whatever, that's such a small deal, I don't care anymore. If you fall in the camp of someone who has not played Kirby in the Forgotten Land yet, but you do have a Nintendo Switch 2, then yeah, this is a perfect chance to dive on in because this adventure is incredible and only the most minor of things are changed in the base game from the Switch 1 version. Is that a good or bad thing? I don't know, but that's it. Nothing really there. That there's no new abilities, no new bosses. Granted, the game is still new. It's not like Return to Dreamland had this big time delta between the original game and the re-release, so they can squeeze some new things into that game, but it's just Forgotten Land again, and it's better now. Cool. But you all want to see the new stuff, right? Welcome to the new stuff. Welcome to Plus Star-Crossed World. Here's the story. During Kirby's adventures through the Forgotten Land, and it kind of starts right after the Natural Plains, so once you start World 1, that's when this cutscene will play out. But for me, it was when I went right back in with my 100% save file, you get it. As they're riding a warp star over the ocean, a massive blue crystal meteor appears and crash lands into that ocean, splitting off into multiple pieces along the way and revealing a mysterious heart. How ominous. This causes the fallen star volcano to rise. Of course, our heroes go to check things out, and when they get there, astronomer Waddle Dee appears. I like him. He has a neat hat. This oddly convenient researcher who has been studying the legend of this meteor for years tells you that it can be sealed away with the stars of light. And hey, would you look at that? Like 2 feet away, there's a starry. That's awesome. And then your goal is to go and find all of the stars you possibly can to discover the mystery behind the crystals and work to seal the Star of Darkness. That's it. That's the whole plot. Pretty straightforward. Fun fact though, if you start this journey during the part of the main story where Elfilin is captured, an entirely different cutscene plays here, where Elfilin is not there. That's a nice touch. They didn't need to do that. I mean, they could have just like placed this in any other part of the story, but no, they wanted to make sure. They wanted to put in more effort and spend more man hours to make that one cutscene. Good for them. There is a little more story near the end of this campaign once you rebuild the sealing crystal, but there's honestly not all that much here. I think some of us are not even really paying attention to the fact that this is not really an entirely separate adventure. Like, it's an adventure that's going on concurrently through the main game. It starts up after you finish World 1, and then every couple levels, you get an alternative version to unlock some stories. This is not an epilogue, like the Magalore portions from Return to Dreamland Deluxe, or even Meta Nightmare from the previous games where that showed up. This is a bit of a different beast. The entire run of this extra campaign is totaling 12 stages, 2 from each of the 6 main worlds, and their story equivalents to already existing stages. So when you touch an area on the world map, you'll see, hey, now you have an extra option. Thematically, the stages are very similar to the base version. They start off basically identically, but as soon as you hit the correct crystal, you diverge to somewhere brand new. That's like the big new thing with this mode. There are these starry flowers all over the place, and every time you touch one, something new pops up. It could be just as simple as a new collectible, or it could be an entirely new pathway. On the surface, it is pretty cool that you get to take a look at some of these existing levels like the amusement park in an entirely new light, but when you're really in the thick of it, it just really turns into being 12 brand new levels of the same game that you've been playing for a few years already. It doesn't really feel super new, it's just more Kirby. The concept of touching things and then a level appears from under you is not a new thing in the slightest, it's just more Kirby content. It's not really a good or bad thing, it's just, that's where the underwhelming part of this comes in. It's just more Kirby in the Forgotten Land. Like, instead of rescuing Waddle Dees from the missions that you were doing before, now you rescue Starries. But the process is exactly the same. Some of the enemies are a bit stronger, they have crystals all over their heads to indicate as such, and the same goes for the mini-bosses. There's a few of them that are a little bit more sparkly, and as a result they can do a couple extra moves, and they take maybe an extra second or two to take out, but still, pretty easy all things considered. But there is one brand new mini-boss, the Galactal. He's a cool little guy, he looks like a bigger version of the existing Starries, and a fun thing about fighting these guys is they have no life meter. You just gotta do enough damage before the crystals break apart from their surface, and then you get to see that they are actual living, breathing entities, just a big old blob with an eyeball. Does that mean something for the Kirby lore? I don't really know. We'll get to the lore part later. One of the things I really enjoyed about the base Forgotten Land was all the mouthful modes, and thankfully in these brand new stages, you do get some additional time with some of the existing modes. You get to have some playtime with the car again, the big old goopy water mode. The ring shows up a few times, and hey, I enjoy my time with that as well. But joining the arsenal, we have 3 brand new mouthful modes. We have Spring Kirby, which is just the return of the high jump, more or less. It's just a different name, but it's the high jump ability, and now you're just a big long boy. There's Gear Kirby, will let you scale walls in any direction you want. You have full control, you can speed through, and then by using your speed option, you're able to go off ramps and then go onto other parts of walls and stick yourself and do more traversal. It's a fun little thing. It's particularly good in co-op because while Waddle Dee is just kind of there, like riding Kirby most of the time, now Gear Kirby holds on to Waddle Dee for dear life. That's adorable. And my favorite of the 3, Sign Kirby. It could really been like anything. These are just sliding segments, on-rail sliding segments show up in so many platformers, and I adore them every time they do. I just think auto runners really fit as an alternative gameplay style in platformers. A sign is like a bit of a stretch, but I guess, you know, it gets the job done. It's the closest thing we'll ever get to, like, Box Boy Kirby, that one April Fool's joke from a few years back, so I mean, that's something. But yeah, that's it. There's really nothing special about like the core gameplay experience. It's just 12 brand new levels for Kirby and the Forgotten Land that look really cool. The music is really fantastic. There's a lot of like choir singing going on in the background. It feels all ominous and eerie. Every time you're near a star, it plays a little jingle, which is unique to them, and that's pretty cool. It's fun new content. I just think maybe my expectations were set a little bit higher coming off of the Magalore epilogue, which completely changed the gameplay formula and had a ridiculous final boss, but that's just on me. More Kirby in the Forgotten Land is not a bad thing. I would have bought the DLC if it was like a standard DLC, and rather than this whole Switch 2 upgrade thing. I don't know, I had a good time with it. I think it's worth it. They made sure to even make a brand new HAL room for one of these stages, because once again, find someone who loves you more than HAL loves themselves, I guess, because boy, they love talking about themselves as much as they possibly can. There's also brand new figurines you can get called EX figurines. This is where a lot of like the lore and fan servicey stuff, just the wall of text can be found. You have over 50 new collectibles to get, over 2 different sets. A lot of the coins that you collect throughout the campaign are used for this gacha system back in Waddle Dee Town. It's the same system, just with more figurines. Cool. The last bit of brand new content is a new difficulty option for the arena mode, the Ultimate Cup ZXS. Ultimate Cup Zex. Oh, okay, sure. And it's a boss rush featuring a lot of the crystallized enemies that you now find in the Star-Crossed Worlds levels. There is a bit of a unique final boss that is exclusive to this mode, but, you know, let's just get to the lore portion. We'll include the final boss in here too. After you get as many stories as you could and restore the heart, you think you're about to be done with this adventure, but oh, alas, it breaks through the floor, Kirby forgets that he can fly, and you explore some ruins for a little bit. And it was at this moment that I was thinking to myself, oh man, okay, this is where the insanity is gonna truly begin. Like, the music is really eerie, it's like a crackly radio, and you can kinda hear the original theme song like spliced in every few seconds. Oh, the creepy vibes are back, I'm gonna love this. And then you get to a bit of a reskin of Fectoelphalus from the main game. Okay. Oh, but truthfully, while this looks very similar, it's not. This is a brand new character. Parastella Crystallis Genwell Medionephalus. Jesus, these names are insane. But here's where the lore comes in. This is actually Fectoelphalus's older brother, who has come back for revenge. And this form that he holds was created after he absorbed the Staries freed by Kirby. Oops. Phase 1 of this fight, if you played the Elphalus fight before, it's more or less identical, but phases 2 and 3 are new. Now we have Giant Genwell. This is kind of cool. I mean, Nintendo in their big hand boss fights, they adore these, so they will not miss any excuse to make a new one. It's actually not that super challenging of a fight, but the moves are pretty spectacular looking, so that's nice. And then phase 3 is his true form, this big one-eyed monster. I mean, that's okay. It has similar bubbling effects like Dark Matter did from Kirby 64. I noticed that. The eyeball itself kind of looks similar to Dark Mind from Amazing Mirror. I mean, maybe that's something. I don't know, I feel like I'm stretching for lore continuity here. I mean, the Elphaluses as a species is already pretty cool. They're very mystical, and now seeing Lord of Chaos, like that phrase goes ridiculously hard for a Kirby game. And if you read the dialogue on their trophies, it turns out that they do have a history with the Staries, and apparently the Staries are planet protectors, and they once crystallized a fiend capable of destroying an entire galaxy, and they can travel through time. Like, this is all stuff that's hidden away in the trophy logs, but when you're playing the game, it's like, oh, it's just a bunch of cute little guys, and then this guy is the Lord of Death, I guess. Okay, cool. As expected, the lore is pretty neat, but in terms of impact, I don't know, I'm really not seeing it here. It certainly lacks a lot of the oomph like Maggle or Epilogue had. I personally was really hoping for a Galactonite fight. I mean, for crying out loud, the mini-bosses that you fight are called Galactals, okay? And the Staries once crystallized a fiend who can destroy an entire galaxy. I mean, that's not exactly Galactonite's MO, but something. Galactonite would have been cool. I do like Morphonite. He does show up again in the Ultimate Cup, and I do like that he's actually a very ominous threat. But Galactonite would have been cool too. I want one game where they're like all in. Like that would be awesome. As far as the brand new Ultimate Cup ZEX exclusive fight is concerned, Chaos Elphalus. It's another reskin of the Elphalus creature, but he does have new attacks because he's actually holding his brother's spear, and that's kind of cool. The lore, once again, kind of neat, but I don't know, there's not really a whole lot to work with here. Like, he can summon these shadowy forms of the Beast Pack now for his moves. I like that. There's this crazy looking, this thing is trying to burn you alive attack, and that was awesome. That's like the best part of the entire DLC. But at the end of the day, it does just all kind of boil down to, yeah, it's a cool boss fight. And that's it. And then when you walk out, the commentator Waddle Dee says, "You truly are the Kirby of the Stars," which is what the franchise was like originally called in Japan when translated, so that's a cool little bit of fan service. There is some extra lore though that doesn't really have a lot of relevance to anything else in the campaign. Like, some of the coolest lore drops is the New World spaceship. You get this figurine of this spaceship pod that kind of ties things back to the lore Starcutter vehicle that Magolor used in Return to Dreamland, which then also by proxy adds a little bit more lore to the Ancients, which is actually such an insane thing in the Kirby universe, and that is also once again all locked behind text logs, and that's it. Like, I guess if you really dive into it, the whole crystallized heart thing, that also exists at the end of Star Allies, so I guess that means like the weird cultish behavior of Highness in that game also ties in to the general plotline that we're continuing with Star-Crossed World. Like, is Termina still somehow a thing, and that's like what was crystallized from the Staries and not like, I don't know, man. I do have a lot of questions, but I feel like they're really just trying to plant these seeds for a follow-up game. Like, I'm excited for a brand new Kirby game, alright? But if this turns out to be just a whole lot of text logs and not much more, I might just be wagging my finger in you disgust, HAL Labs. I want a little bit more, I'm not gonna lie. Dude, Kirby Air Riders looks so damn good. But yeah, if your main question with this video is the Switch 2 port of Kirby and the Forgotten Land good? Yes. Yeah, it's pretty good. So yeah, I apologize, not as big of an elaborate video as I was kind of hoping for this release, but hey, I still had a good time with it, and I could only work with what I got. Besides, in less than 2 months, or roughly 2 months, I don't know when you're watching this video, Kirby Air Riders is going to be releasing, and oh boy am I excited, the first full Switch 2 Kirby release. And you see that stupid, dark, DDD looking thing? Oh, there's going to be a lore drop in there for sure, and I am excited. And if all goes according to plan, you see the steel ball that's going to be in Kirby Air Riders as a new copy ability? That should be this franchise's 69th copy ability. Ain't that nice?